the new god of water, the new gods of water, the new god of water, the new goddess of water, the new goddesses of water, the new goddess of water, the old god of water, the old gods of water, the old god of water, the old goddess of water, the old goddesses of water, the old goddess of water, the greater god of water, the greater gods of water, the greater god of water, the greater goddess of water, the greater goddesses of water, the greater goddess of water, the lesser god of water, the lesser gods of water, the lesser god of water, the lesser goddess of water, the lesser goddesses of water, the lesser goddess of water, the higher god of water, the higher gods of water, the higher god of water, the higher goddess of water, the higher goddesses of water, the higher goddess of water, the lower god of water, the lower gods of water, the lower god of water, the lower goddess of water, the lower goddesses of water, the lower goddess of water, the greater spirit of water, the greater spirits of water, the greater spirit of water, the lesser spirit of water, the lesser spirits of water, the lesser spirit of water, the higher spirit of water, the higher spirits of water, the higher spirit of water, the lower spirit of water, the lower spirits of water, the lower spirit of water, the major god of water, the major gods of water, the major god of water, the major goddess of water, the major goddesses of water, the major goddess of water, the minor god of water, the minor gods of water, the minor god of water, the minor goddess of water, the minor goddesses of water, the minor goddess of water, the superior god of water, the superior gods of water, the superior god of water, the superior goddess of water, the superior goddesses of water, the superior goddess of water, the inferior god of water, the inferior gods of water, the inferior god of water, the inferior goddess of water, the inferior goddesses of water, the inferior goddess of water, the ancestor god of water, the ancestor gods of water, the ancestor god of water, the ancestor goddess of water, the ancestor goddesses of water, the ancestor goddess of water, the ascendant god of water, the ascendant gods of water, the ascendant god of water, the ascendant goddess of water, the ascendant goddesses of water, the ascendant goddess of water, the descendant god of water, the descendant gods of water, the descendant god of water, the descendant goddess of water, the descendant goddesses of water, the descendant goddess of water, the transcendent god of water, the transcendent gods of water, the transcendent god of water, the transcendent goddess of water, the transcendent goddesses of water, the transcendent goddess of water, the past god of water, the past gods of water, the past god of water, the past goddess of water, the past goddesses of water, the past goddess of water, the present god of water, the present gods of water, the present god of water, the present goddess of water, the present goddesses of water, the present goddess of water, the future god of water, the future gods of water, the future god of water, the future goddess of water, the future goddesses of water, the future goddess of water, the authentic god of water, the authentic gods of water, the authentic god of water, the authentic goddess of water, the authentic goddesses of water, the authentic goddess of water, the synthetic god of water, the synthetic gods of water, the synthetic god of water, the synthetic goddess of water, the synthetic goddesses of water, the synthetic goddess of water, the progressive god of water, the progressive gods of water, the progressive god of water, the progressive goddess of water, the progressive goddesses of water, the progressive goddess of water, the regressive god of water, the regressive gods of water, the regressive god of water, the regressive goddess of water, the regressive goddesses of water, the regressive goddess of water, the ordinary god of water, the ordinary gods of water, the ordinary god of water, the ordinary goddess of water, the ordinary goddesses of water, the ordinary goddess of water, the extraordinary god of water, the extraordinary gods of water, the extraordinary God of water, the extraordinary goddess of water, the extraordinary goddesses of water, the extraordinary goddess of water, the static God of water, the static gods of water, the static God of water, the static goddess of water, the static goddesses of water, the static goddess of water, the dynamic God of water, the dynamic gods of water, the dynamic God of water, the dynamic goddess of water, the dynamic goddesses of water, the dynamic goddess of water, the land God of water, the land gods of water, the land God of water, the land goddess of water, the land goddesses of water, the land goddess of water, the sea God of water, the sea gods of water, the sea God of water, the sea goddess of water, the sea goddesses of water, the sea goddess of water, the sky God of water, the sky gods of water, the sky God of water, the sky goddess of water, the sky goddesses of water, the sky goddess of water, the God of water, the gods of water, the God of water, the goddess of water, the goddesses of water, the goddess of water, the half God of water, the half gods of water, the half God of water, the half goddess of water, the half goddesses of water, the half goddess of water, the vessel of water, the vessels of water, the vessel of water, the name of water, the names of water, the name of water, the person of water, the persons of water, the person of water, the persona of water, the personas of water, the persona of water, the personage of water, the personages of water, the personage of water, the personality of water, the personalities of water, the personality of water, the personification of water, the personifications of water, the personification of water, the image of water, the images of water, the image of water, the imagination of water, the imaginations of water, the imagination of water, the belief of water, the beliefs of water, the belief of water, the thought of water, the thoughts of water, the thought of water, the word of water, the words of water, the word of water, the action of water, the actions of water, the action of water, the reaction of water, the reactions of water, the reaction of water, the feeling of water, the feelings of water, the feeling of water, the situation of water, the situations of water, the situation of water, the circumstance of water, the circumstances of water, the circumstance of water, the environment of water, the environments of water, the environment of water, the relationship of water, the relationships of water, the relationship of water, the number of water, the numbers of water, the number of water, the formula of water, the formulas of water, the formula of water, the equation of water, the equations of water, the equation of water, the theory of water, the theories of water, the theory of water, the symbol of water, the symbols of water, the symbol of water, the color of water, the colors of water, the color of water, the thing of water, the things of water, the thing of water, the way of water, the ways of water, the way of water, the place of water, the places of water, the place of water, the time of water, the times of water, the time of water, the event of water, the events of water, the event of water, the result of water, the results of water, the result of water, the crown of water, the crowns of water, the crown of water, the throne of water, the thrones of water, the throne of water, the water king, the water kings, the water kingdom, the water kingdoms, the water king subject, the water king subjects, the water king's dominion, the water king's dominions, the kingdom of water, the kingdoms of water, the kingdom of water, the water queen, the water queens, the water queendom, the water queendoms, the water queen subject, the water queen subjects, the water queen's dominion, the water queen's dominions, the queendom of water, the queendoms of water, the queendom of water, the water prince, the water princes, the water princedom, the water princedoms, The water prince's subject. The water prince's subjects. The water prince's dominion. The water prince's dominions. The princedom of water. The princedoms of water. The princedom of water. The water princess. The water princesses. The water princessdom. The water princessdoms. The water princess's subject. The water princess's subjects. The water princess's dominion. The water princess's dominions. The princessdom of water. The princessdoms of water. The princessdom of water. The lord of water. The lords of water. The lord of water. The lordess of water. The lordesses of water. The lordess of water. The priest of water. The priests of water. The priest of water. The priestess of water. The priestesses of water. The priestess of water. The ritual of water. The rituals of water. The ritual of water. The shrine of water. The shrines of water. The shrine of water. The temple of water. The temples of water. The temple of water. The leader of water. The leaders of water. The leader of water. The follower of water. The followers of water. The follower of water. The natural substance of water. The natural substances of water. The natural substance of water. The supernatural substance of water. The supernatural substances of water. The supernatural substance of water. The temporal substance of water. The temporal substances of water. The temporal substance of water. The spiritual substance of water. The spiritual substances of water. The spiritual substance of water. The natural form of water. The natural forms of water. The natural form of water. The supernatural form of water. The supernatural forms of water. The supernatural form of water. The temporal form of water. The temporal forms of water. The temporal form of water. The spiritual form of water. The spiritual forms of water. The spiritual form of water. The age of water. The ages of water. The age of water. The era of water. The heiress of water. The era of water. The awakener of water. The awakeners of water. The awakener of water. The awakening of water. The awakenings of water. The awakening of water. The realm of water. The realms of water. The realm of water. The dimension of water. The dimensions of water. The dimension of water. The zone of water. The zones of water. The zone of water. The frequency of water. The frequencies of water. The frequency of water. The century of water. The centuries of water. The century of water. The millennium of water. The millenniums of water. The millennium of water. The purpose of water. The purposes of water. The purpose of water. The meaning of water. The meanings of water. The meaning of water. The culture of water. The cultures of water. The culture of water. The demonstrator of water. The demonstrators of water. The demonstrator of water. The demonstration of water. The demonstrations of water. The demonstration of water. The manifester of water. The manifestors of water. The manifester of water. The manifestation of water. The manifestations of water. The manifestation of water. The presence of water. The presences of water. The presence of water. The glow of water. The glows of water. The glow of water. The goal of water. The goals of water. The goal of water. The plan of water. The plans of water. The plan of water. The book of water. The books of water. The book of water. The philosopher of water. The philosophers of water. The philosopher of water. The philosophy of water. The philosophies of water. The philosophy of water. The releaser of water. The releasers of water. The releaser of water. The release of water. The releases of water. The release of water. The variable of water. The variables of water. The variable of water. The cause of water. The causes of water. The cause of water. The effect of water. The effects of water. The effect of water. The journey of water. The journeys of water. The journey of water. The emergence of water. The emergences of water. The emergence of water. The source of water. The sources of water. The source of water. the originator of water, the originators of water, the originator of water, the origin of water, the origins of water, the origin of water, the forefather of water, the forefathers of water, the forefather of water, the foremother of water, the foremothers of water, the foremother of water, the ancestor of water, the ancestors of water, the ancestor of water, the descendant of water, the descendants of water, the descendant of water, the lineage of water, the lineages of water, the lineage of water, the heritage of water, the heritages of water, the heritage of water, the heir of water, the heirs of water, the heir of water, the co-heir of water, the co-heirs of water, the co-heir of water, the joint heir of water, the joint heirs of water, the joint heir of water, the dynasty of water, the dynasties of water, the dynasty of water, the force of water, the forces of water, the force of water, the law of water, the laws of water, the law of water, the pact of water, the pacts of water, the pact of water, the game of water, the games of water, the game of water, the mask of water, the masks of water, the mask of water, the armor of water, the armors of water, the armor of water, the sword of water, the swords of water, the sword of water, the shield of water, the shields of water, the shield of water, the force shield of water, the force shields of water, the force shield of water, the armored force shield of water, the armored force shields of water, the armored force shield of water, the champion of water, the champions of water, the champion of water, the guardian of water, the guardians of water, the guardian of water, the defender of water, the defenders of water, the defender of water, the protector of water, the protectors of water, the protector of water, the chant of water, the chants of water, the chant of water, the shape of water, the shapes of water, the shape of water, the cube of water, the cubes of water, the cube of water, the cuboid of water, the cuboids of water, the cuboid of water, the sphere of water, the spheres of water, the sphere of water, the spheroid of water, the spheroids of water, the spheroid of water, the prism of water, the prisms of water, the prism of water, the pyramid of water, the pyramids of water, the pyramid of water, the cylinder of water, the cylinders of water, the cylinder of water, the cone of water, the cones of water, the cone of water, the triangle of water, the triangles of water, the triangle of water, the circle of water, the circles of water, the circle of water, the semicircle of water, the semicircles of water, the semicircle of water, the square of water, the squares of water, the square of water, the rectangle of water, the rectangles of water, the rectangle of water, the parallelogram of water, the parallelograms of water, the parallelogram of water, the rhombus of water, the rhombuses of water, the rhombus of water, the trapezoid of water, the trapezoids of water, the trapezoid of water, the polygon of water, the polygons of water, the polygon of water, the pentagon of water, the pentagons of water, the pentagon of water, the hexagon of water, the hexagons of water, the hexagon of water, the septagon of water, the septagons of water, the septagon of water, the octagon of water, the octagons of water, the octagon of water, the nonagon of water, the nonagons of water, the nonagon of water, the decagon of water, the decagons of water, the decagon of water, the evolution of water, the evolutions of water, the evolution of water, the revolution of water, the revolutions of water, the revolution of water, the elemental art of water, the elemental arts of water, the elemental art of water, the elemental science of water, the elemental sciences of water, the elemental science of water, the elemental principle of water, the elemental principles of water, the elemental principle of water, the elemental technology of water, the elemental technologies of water, the elemental technology of water, the low elemental art of water, the low elemental arts of water, the low elemental art of water, the low elemental science of water, the low elemental sciences of water, the low elemental science of water, the low elemental principle of water, the low elemental principles of water, the low elemental principle of water, the low elemental technology of water, the low elemental technologies of water, the low elemental technology of water, the high elemental art of water, the high elemental arts of water, the high elemental art of water, the high elemental science of water, the high elemental sciences of water, the high elemental science of water, the high elemental principle of water, the high elemental principles of water, the high elemental principle of water, the high elemental technology of water, the high elemental technologies of water, the high elemental technology of water, the agent of water, the agents of water, the agent of water, the agency of water, the agencies of water, the agency of water, the amplifier of water, the amplifiers of water, the amplifier of water, the amplification of water, the amplifications of water, the amplification of water, the enhancer of water, the enhancers of water, the enhancer of water, the enhancement of water, the enhancements of water, the enhancement of water, the magnifier of water, the magnifiers of water, the magnifier of water, the magnification of water, the magnifications of water, the magnification of water, the influencer of water, the influencers of water, the influencer of water, the influence of water, the influences of water, the influence of water, the emanator of water, the emanators of water, the emanator of water, the emanation of water, the emanations of water, the emanation of water, the converger of water, the convergers of water, the converger of water, the convergence of water, the convergences of water, the convergence of water, the aura of water, the auras of water, the aura of water, the impression of water, the impressions of water, the impression of water, the intelligence of water, the intelligences of water, the intelligence of water, the sophistication of water, the sophistications of water, the sophistication of water, the genius of water, the geniuses of water, the genius of water, the polymath of water, the polymaths of water, the polymath of water, the psychic of water, the psychics of water, the psychic of water, the knowledge of water, the knowledges of water, the knowledge of water, the understanding of water, the understandings of water, the understanding of water, the wisdom of water, the wisdoms of water, the wisdom of water, the secret of water, the secrets of water, the secret of water, the mystery of water, the mysteries of water, the mystery of water, the revelation of water, the revelations of water, the revelation of water, the tactic of water, the tactics of water, the tactic of water, the strategy of water, the strategies of water, the strategy of water, the strength of water, the strengths of water, the strength of water, the might of water, the might of water, the might of water, the power of water, the powers of water, the power of water, the authority of water, the authorities of water, the authority of water, the dominion of water, the dominions of water, the dominion of water, the rhythm of water, the rhythms of water, the rhythm of water, the melody of water, the melodies of water, the melody of water, the music of water, the musics of water, the music of water, the lyric of water, the lyrics of water, the lyric of water, the song of water, the songs of water, the song of water, the dance of water, the dances of water, the dance of water, the spirit of water, the spirits of water, the spirit of water, the soul of water, the souls of water, the soul of water, the body of water, the bodies of water, the body of water, the mark of water, the marks of water, the mark of water, the promise of water, the promises of water, the promise of water, the visionary of water, the visionaries of water, the visionary of water, the vision of water, the visions of water, the vision of water, the picture of water, the pictures of water, the picture of water, the sound of water, the sounds of water, the sound of water, the tongue of water, the tongues of water, the tongue of water, the language of water, the languages of water, the language of water, the communication of water, the communications of water, the communication of water, the people of water, the peoples of water, the people of water, the society of water, the societies of water, the society of water, the fortress of water, the fortresses of water, the fortress of water, the government of water, the governments of water, the government of water, the city of water, the cities of water, the city of water, the nation of water, the nations of water, the nation of water, the civilization of water, the civilizations of water, the civilization of water, the world of water, the worlds of water, the world of water,